Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Cancer. So, Cancer, as usual, I'm doing your reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. And your reading today, it's bringing up this huge transformation, and I feel like it's something that is some sort of inner realization that you have outgrown yourself or your shell or your skin or your reality, especially your identity. I want to say perhaps we're talking about an identity crisis or something like that. I don't see the crisis aspect, to be honest. I feel like the desire to free yourself from an old personality, an old identity, an old way of perceiving yourself and being in the world and expressing who you are in the world. And most of all, like identifying who you are, right? Connecting to who you are. It's undergoing a huge shift. And it's like you're morphing into a newer, more upgraded version of yourself that feels a lot more free, a lot more liberated, a lot more light, right? Lighter than you used to be. It's almost like you were carrying a potential, in a sense, since you were young, Cancer, that it's almost like that became, you know, like not a burden per se, but like something that it's like it was weighing you down, right? And liberating yourself from that is actually very fulfilling, but it's slow. It's a very slow process. It's not something that you wake up one day and decide, I'm going to change who I am, I'm going to change how I show up in the world. It's slow. It's like take your time to know who you are in essence and how you externalize that, right? Because I feel like there is this one last piece of identity that the moment that you stop identifying with that, then you feel fully liberated. But okay, so we're beginning with the Death card, right? This radical, huge, profound transformation. But the thing about this card is that actually when I picked up the deck to shuffle, this was the card that was at the bottom. And it was already speaking to me. It was straight away talking about you undergoing a huge transformation. But the sensation that I had with this card, not only because it reminded me of a dream that I had, but it brought this image of you burying your old identity. But it's almost like, I know that this could be very uncomfortable for some because it's very detailed, but it's metaphorical, right? It's not literal. It's just the imagery to convey a certain message, which is talking about this process of rebirth, right? So it's like burying your old self, right? And this might not be a big deal for some, but for others it could be triggering. It's just that's the reason why I'm just you know putting it out there that this might be uncomfortable. But the thing about you looking at this stone, looking at this burial site, looking at the old identity that is dying, I don't feel like there is, you're not holding any grudges. You're not attached. You're not sad. You're not frustrated. You're not. It's like you are thankful. It's like you know that the old identity, which is represented here by the Page of Wands, is has served its purpose. And so going to the dream that I had, it was a very, very weird dream. And I've been having these types of weird dreams lately. I don't know if it's because of the book that I'm reading about dreams and, it's just sparking these very bizarre images in my subconscious mind, or I don't know what it is. But I had this dream where there was this figure, this animal that actually was not one animal. It was like this, combination of three animals, three different species that were morphing into one another. But actually, it's like they were becoming one thing. And it was very bizarre because it was a slug, a crab, and a turtle. So there was this very slow pace of these three animals, right? It's like they were all combined into one new sort of species that I have no idea what they were meaning, because it's interesting, although I identified as that animal in the dream, I was looking it go away. It's like I was seeing it, walk away from me. And so I don't know if this is, this death and rebirth process about this identity that is slowly dying, that is slowly leaving, right? But it could be something like that. And I am a Cancerian, so it could fit somehow. So, but back to the cards. This Page of Wands came up yesterday in the Gemini Extended, and it was talking about a middle way, a third path, a path that was not black or white, left or right, this or that, right? It was not the dualistic type of path that we are used to, being presented to us here in this reality, in this 3D realm. So there's something about you, and I want to say, because it's the page, there's something about like very early on, or maybe since an early age, you already knew that there was, because the symbol of the wands here in the center of the hat of the page is talking about this potential that you always knew that you carried within you. And that is, I feel like this third path, a third way, a third option, something that, the world is not presenting you with. It's like, it's within you, right? It's like the potential that is within you is this third path. So I feel like you have been carrying this identity, and it's almost like establishing who you are based on this potential, maybe based on this sensation and this intuition since you were a kid, that there is a different way of going around your life, of being in this world. The Five of Pentacles is just talking about the identity that you realized that you were since you were a kid, or that you thought that you would have to step into that being, that personality. It's like, the story that we tell about our life, right? So this is like the it's kind of like the shell, or reminding me now again about the dream, right? The shell of the turtle, the shell of the crab, or the, however you want to see that morphing of those three animals, right? So there's something about the Five of Pentacles that is too rigid. It's too small, right? It's too small for you. It's like the identity that you believed that you had to fit into that way of being, that way of speaking, that way of, presenting yourself to the world, Cancer. Now it feels like this is what is dying. This is what you are letting go of. And even perhaps it's like because the way that I'm seeing this potential inside of you, it's almost like you thought that you were realizing that you were manifesting this full potential of the third way with this Five of Pentacles way of being in the world, with this identity. But because you have outgrown this, because this feels too tight, this feels too small, right? It's like wearing clothes from when you were a kid, right? It doesn't fit anymore. It's like you have grown, right? So this is the reason why I feel like there's no sorrow, there is no sadness here in letting this go. It's almost like there is this acknowledgement that this identity, that this personality is dying, is slowly but surely making its way out of your life, right? It's like, or you are walking away of this old identity, right? Because it's being replaced, and what is being birthed here is the new identity, is a new, more upgraded version of yourself with the Fool. So you see, I love how when, you know, the Page and the Fool, when they both come side by side, it's like, for me, there is this, it's like this elevation of consciousness, elevation of who you are, or who you see yourself as, right? And specifically in this 3D, because this is what you have outgrown. So you're removing yourself from this. It's like, because the fives to me are all about the individual, right? So, and because it's the Five of Pentacles, this is talking about physically how you identify yourself with. And this is like as I said, there is no sadness. It's like you're actually, there is, it's like there is liberation, there is freedom, there is this it's not tight anymore, right? It's like you can move, right? It's like now you have room because you have let go of the thing that was compressing you or tightening your muscles, right? That was, you know, maybe even making you tense. It's almost like you have carried this identity, this personality since you were a kid, because you've developed or you matured very early, right? It's like you knew that you had a great potential. So since you were very, very young, it's like you have been carrying that responsibility or that commitment, right, to fulfilling this potential of going about your life in a third way, but, you know, falling into it's like you have conquered that, right? That has served its purpose in a way, that type of identity that you were committed to. It's like you fulfill that. That is complete. Now you have to move on because it's too tight, right? It's too small for you. And the way that you feel afterwards, it's so freeing. It's almost like, wow, I didn't know that I had this new body, this other option, right? It's like, even though you knew that you had a third way, right? You didn't have to choose just between, you know, the two options that you were offered, or that you know, that your family said that you could be, or, you know, society in a very how do you say, in a very subliminal way, or in the very you know, like in between the lines, right? It's not that vocal, or it's not that obvious, but it's there, right? It's in the culture. It's like you knew that you could do things differently, but you've done everything that you could. Now that you are stepping up, now that you're leveling up, there's something about the new. I'm being careful here. It's like, because it's coming through verbally as a new identity, but I don't feel like this is. It's almost like this is the blank canvas, Cancer, for you to create the new identity, for you to develop your new personality, right? It is complete freedom. It's like the card that is number 0, right? So it's like this blank space, this ground zero. There is no commitment to. That's the thing also. There's also the liberation from what you thought that you needed to fulfill, right? It's like here there is this maybe implicit obligation that you needed to commit to, right? Commit to the potential that you knew that you held within you. But here it's like you don't have, it's like you're free, right? There is nothing really there for you to grow. It's like if this was the seed of your personality, it's like you're free even from that, right? It's like you can explore whatever you like, be whoever you want to be in this 3D form, right? It's like you can express yourself in a free way that feels like this the manifestation of something that you have started co-creating long ago. So the Three of Cups coming next, this is the third way. This is the third path. This is the third element, the third thing. You are it. It's not that you have to go a certain way that is different from one person or the other, right? Or from one option or the other. It's like that you've done that, right? That way of understanding this third potential or this third way of going about your life, you have done that. You have outgrown that. So now it's time for you to realize that you are it. I don't know how to express this. It's like there is no third path. You are the third path. I think that would be the most simple way of putting it. There is no third thing that is going to miraculously be manifested. You are it. You are the third path. You are the third way, whatever that means, right? It's like you are the new option. You are freedom, right? It's not that you are free. You are freedom. Therefore, you are the co-creation itself. Because maybe that's what you felt as a kid, right? With your very, tuned in intuition or sensation that you held this incredible potential, but you thought that this meant being a certain way, right? It's like, or maybe just being different than the norm, being different than your friends, being different than your family members, right? Being you, it meant that you were exploring how it feels to be you differently than how others were around you, right? This was what you understood as the third way when you were growing up with your level of maturity, which I want to say you already had the sensation that you were, more mature than the average kid. So here, Cancer, the leveling up, this upgrade that you're undergoing, it seems like right now, because you're leaving behind that old belief, right? You're leaving behind that old identity, and you're understanding that the new, freer version of yourself is the third path. You being who, the authentic, original, very unique version of who you are in this major arcana version, meaning there's plenty for you to, explore with this new exploration and expression of who you are and who you can be. It's already the co-creation, because I often see the Three of Cups as a co-creation from the heart. So coming from this heart space, it is very pure. And it's interesting because the pages to me are the symbol for innocence and cultivating innocence, because you are, changing the identity from the page, which, maybe that's it. It's like when you were a kid, when you were supposed to be innocent and naive and all of that, you were already very aware of the potential that you held. So it's like you matured very early on when you were supposed to cultivate your innocence, and that made things very rigid, right? And this is what you're liberating yourself from, in a way that now you are free from that old identity, from that old way of seeing yourself and presenting yourself, that is still innocent, but it's innocent in a higher way. It's like basically it's the essence of who you are. So the Sun card here is just talking about this purest light, the lightness of your being, right? The purest brightness of how you shine your light is who you are in essence, right? I often say that the sun is like the essence of who you are. That's how we see the sun in astrology, especially. But here, that's the thing in tarot, right? The image of that child playing, very spontaneously, very carefree, right? It's like this is what you are discovering, that you it's like even though you might have become too identified with a certain way of being, it's like that is dying, right? That is leaving. You're no longer identifying with that. So you're removing yourself from that rigid armor. After the sun, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is how, I'm seeing you. The way that this old identity has become too rigid is because it was maybe an armor, right, that you were wearing to protect yourself from, just because you identified yourself so differently from others. Maybe the identity that you built around that ideation of what was this of what this third path meant was that you needed to protect yourself from others that were different than you, right, Cancer? But here I feel like because it's a slow process, and I feel like, this entire reading is this, this dream of mine that is like this, I don't even know how long I was there, just seeing this animal that was this combination of three, just slowly making its way out of my sight, really. But it's like, it felt like in an eternity. It was very, very slow. Not only because of the three animals that were morphing, it's like they were naturally, slow animals, perhaps. I don't know. It's still like something to be unveiled, I guess. So the Fool being the co-creation, and the Sun removing the last piece of the armor that feels like this helmet, right? So I feel like in order for you to really be free, in order for you to really realize how you are this co-creation, it's not that you are that you have to wait on somebody else or wait for the universe to co-create with you. It's like you are it, right? And you are it because it's your essence to be it, your essence to be as free as possible. It's like whatever identity that was placing you here is not freedom, and you realize now that you are freedom. And you see, the difference is beyond than being free. You are freedom. You are maybe the incarnation of freedom. Therefore, you feel like you don't have to choose any identity. It's like just being you. It's like it's freeing you up from even this last piece, which could be because it's the helmet, right? It's like the piece. It's almost like you have, broken free from the armor along your body, right? That's the reason why you feel like you have more space, you have freedom. But the last piece, which is this helmet, feels like the one that you need to remove from your head because it's the one that is imprisoning your mind, right? And maybe this is the reason why you have this perception that everything is moving so slow, because the last freedom that is going to or the last piece that is, maybe preventing you from being really, really, really free is the one that is blocking your mind, right? And I feel like this is the realization that I feel like it takes a time to process things, especially because being the Knight of Pentacles is like, in our mind, things are quick, right? It's like spirit understands very quickly, the soul takes a little bit longer, and the body to incorporate it, it's like it really takes a while, right? So I feel like this is why you have been undergoing this slow process of, you know, shedding an old skin, leaving behind an old identity. And there is this last piece that the moment that you remove this helmet, it's like the moment that you remove the it's like the maybe the sense that you need to protect yourself, right, from the outside world, because if you do so, you know that you will be very, very exposed. You will be seen. You will, you know, catch eyes or attention, right? Because you will be, you know, free to shine your full brightness, right? So just take your time, Cancer, with this. There is no sadness, there is liberation, right? But take your time, I feel like. So, Cancer, I am going to pull more cards for you as well as the astrological runes in the extended reading. So, if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find the link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.